Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. I want to take a look at the euro. This is kind of, well, not kind of, it is capitalizing on some of the other video and written analysis I've done in our foreign currency market specifically, and most recently on the dollar index and the dollar Swiss, the USD CHF. I'm just looking at the daily chart here for the euro, and we had indicated last week, or maybe a couple weeks ago, last week I guess it was, where I was pointing out this existence of this bear flag. If I go down the 4-hour chart, I mean, we can see that we have broken down below the structure on the 4-hour chart. We're still inside the 4-hour cloud, so we could see a bounce. However, given that we've broken down below the 4-hour Kijun-sen, and that we are kind of bouncing off the bottom of the cloud, we could just see a continuation move to the south here. So the bear flag, typically what occurs is you will get a breakout, and oftentimes you'll get a retest. Now if we look at this on the faster time period, like the hourly, we see we did break out, we went back in, so we've had a retest according to the hourly chart. We have not on the 4-hour chart, but the current hourly chart is telling us that the euro dollar has a lot of downside pressure still. Take a look at the daily chart, and I remember I was pointing to an arrow saying that we could bounce off the top of the cloud on the daily chart, which would bring us down to, on the current daily candle, to 120.90. So it would be another 30-ish pips or so. No, I'm sorry. What is it right now? 121.24. About 35, 40 pips lower would bring us to test the top of the cloud. We haven't tested the cloud since on the daily chart since November. So this would be the first test of that. And certainly we could see this continuing down even lower. Now, if I scroll out and I look at the volume profile from pretty much, actually the back here doesn't really matter, but from the March 20th of 2020, the COVID crash lows, if we take a look at that, and we look at the volume profile, we can see a ton of accumulation up here, and then we see the volume profile thin out. So what happens with the volume profile is when you see these areas right here, right up here, and down here, these are called high volume nodes, and then you notice that in the middle here, you have all of this kind of open space where there's not a lot of volume traded at these price levels. It's called a volume trough or a low volume node, and the two that we just looked at are high volume nodes. The behavior that we should expect price to exhibit is that when it breaks above or below a high volume node and it goes into these areas where there's open space, it kind of gets sucked in like a vacuum, or gets sucked down or up like a vacuum. And as we look over here, the euro is coming down to kind of a make or break zone where if we break down and we close on the daily chart below 121.11 or 121.10, there is a very, very fast move to the south, about, we could just say about 200 pips further south. How likely is that to occur? Well, if it does break down below this, expect it to happen very fast. And I'm just going to assume that because things in technical analysis are often very correlative and you often see things kind of match up with alternating forms of analysis, things are very complementary. I'm going to assume that if I do a Fibonacci extension here of this range, of this prior swing, that, oops, I should probably do the right tool. So if I start at this prior swing high, come down, and then go to the next swing high up here. Let me just mark off. Okay, the high volume node is right there. Let me put a horizontal line here. Make it a little thicker so it'll show up a little easier. I'm just going to hide the volume profile. I really don't need to see that right now. Yeah, so the 1236 is just slightly below that high volume node. In fact, I think the high volume node, if we scroll all the way out again, we're going to see it kind of near that 1 1414. The more likely area that it would find is the 1618. That's more natural condition to get to, more natural level to get to. But definitely keep a lookout for a fast move here. Again, if we break down below, and close below the 121.13 zone, expect a pretty deep dive south over a very fast period of time. It is not outside the realm of possibility that we could see the euro getting down to this level, over a 7 to 10 trading day period. So or it could just take all month too. The whole month of February. It certainly could do that too. So just watch out for that. Be on the lookout and prepare for it. And what's happening to the euro dollar, we should see kind of get reflected in a lot of these other dollar pairs. Of course, dollar index is trading higher. On the daily, that head and shoulders pattern we looked at, we have found strong support up against the daily Kijun Sen, the red average down here. We are currently above the daily Tenkan Sen. That, for me, if I'm trading I don't really trade the dollar index, but if I see this on a daily chart, this kind of condition, which I have on the Swiss, I'm currently long on the Swiss dollar. When I see this kind of a condition on the daily chart where we have crossed above the Tenkan Sen, and if we close above it, that to me is a great opportunity to consider going long. And then we see the dollar Swiss as well. Also, the head and shoulder pattern emulating exactly what we've got going on. And to the inverse of what we just saw with the euro, here's this high volume node. Then above is another high volume node. And then we have this open space here. The neckline break of the head and shoulder pattern more than likely generate some substantial drives higher. So be on the lookout for that. A lot of fun activity in our foreign currency markets this week. From all of us here at Exchange Rates UK TV, thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and like, and I look forward to speaking with you in our future videos.